Welcome to Global Studies and Geography Review by Mr.DePalma. You should have note cards, review books, or anything that you would need to use in order to keep track of what we're going through today. We won't have a lot of notes, but overall general themes. Returning once again to classical civilizations, these people influenced their parts of the world and others through trade. They had prosperous economies, allowed for growth, made strong contributions in areas such as art, architecture, science, and law. They had well-organized governments. Today, of course, we're looking at India. And one other thing to mention, there were golden ages, which usually followed, had a great leader, and then a decline. We will see that today. Today we're looking at India from 1500 BC to 185 AD, and want to talk real quickly about the geography of the subcontinent of India. It's the subcontinent because it juts out from the Asian continent, and there's three major geographic regions of India. The northern plain is very fertile and well watered by the Indus and Ganges River. The Deccan Plateau is the dry and sparsely populated area of the middle of the continent, and the coastal plains are flat land along the east and west coast where farming, fishing, and trade can occur. Important to note that the very geography has made the subcontinent very difficult to unite, and also the monsoon is important to these people as well. We're going to take a look at the Mauryan Empire from 321 BC to 185 BC. Many competing kingdoms were spread along the northern plains in India. It was a very big battleground for a lot of rival kingdoms. And then Chandragupta Maurya, this guy right here on your left, he was first gained power in the Ganges valleys. Along with his army, he soon conquered much of northern India. His descendants, as you can see from the map, eventually moved southward, dominating the Deccan Plateau from about, again, I said 321 BC to 185 BC. And this was the establishment of the Mauryan dynasty, and it was the first united Indian empire. The Mauryan dynasty was very, very efficient. It had a bureaucracy and a very strong government at its capital at Pataliputra. A bureaucracy is a system of managing government through departments that are run by appointed officials. Officials collect taxes and oversee the building of roads, harbors. This all helped trade to flourish. Other officials manage government-owned factories and shipyards. They were big into textiles. Up in your right-hand corner, you see what are known as punchmark coins, or Karashaprana, and these are useful in showing that they had a system of coinage. They're not the traditional coins, but these punchmark coins show just how efficient their government was and in the bureaucracy that they had. It's also important to note that Mauryan rule was very harsh. Chandragupta was very suspicious of his many enemies. It's kind of like King of the Hill. The longer you're on top, the more you have coming at you. He had a brutal secret police force and reported on crime, corruption, and dissent within the empire. So anytime you have an empire that's this large, you're going to have a little bit of suspicion being the ruler and the leader. Want to look quickly at Ashoka. Now, Chandragupta's grandson, Ashoka, ruled very differently from his grandfather. Interestingly enough, he ran a campaign to conquer the Deccan, and he does. After this brutal conquest, he rejects conquest and he turns to Buddhism, hoping to rule by more moral example than by violence. He does send Buddhist missionaries across India, despite his desire to promote Buddhism. He was tolerant of other beliefs as well. But it's an interesting note. Ashoka won, and then he turns to nonviolence. I think it's kind of an interesting thing. But anyways, Ashoka's rule united his diverse people, and he brought about peace and prosperity. After his death, though, however, the empire begins to decline, and rival kingdoms once again compete for power. And again, it shows the idea that a strong leader can come to rule, but how long can you keep that rule and maintain power and prowess? The Mauryans did have many contributions, of course. They did unite much of India for the very first time, and they did have peace and prosperity, and their trade did flourish. Their capital at Pataliputra was the largest and richest city of its time, and the capital had schools and a library. Learning was highly advanced. One of the lasting contributions, of course, was that the spread of Buddhism through missionary activities.